This man hears his daughter call another man dad and immediately rushes after them to find out what is going on. Soon after, he discovers that his wife is being intimate with another man, and even the daughter is not biologically his. Betrayed by his wife and falsely accused at work, he loses his job and falls seriously ill. Even stray dogs on the street receive care, but no one shows concern when he begins coughing up blood. In the end, he dies with anger and hatred. Memories from his previous life flash through Liam's mind, and he will never forget those dark experiences. After leaving that dang Earth, Liam is reborn as a noble in a different world where magic and technology are both highly advanced. Liam decides he will no longer live with kindness as he once did. In this new life, he swears to become a villain. He stops trusting women and spends many years developing robot technology. Liam now commands a powerful army of robots that attacks passing fleets, and he has grown into a force even more terrifying than the villains. Liam laughs maniacally. He is eager to complete the development of a machine capable of traveling between worlds so that he can return to Earth and take revenge on his ex-wife with his own hands. In that moment, a storm of emotions crashes over Liam, and he finds himself once again recalling his past life. When Liam was still on Earth, he worked late into the night every single day. Yet whenever he saw his wife and daughter, all his exhaustion would vanish. Liam gave everything for his family. When his daughter said she wanted a dog, even though he was severely sleep deprived, he still used his precious rest time to take her out to buy a puppy. Unfortunately, the world is not kind to those who are good. Liam's boss often scolded him, calling him useless, and the negative emotions nearly crushed him. Even his subordinates looked down on him. In order to earn enough to support his family, Liam had no choice but to endure everything in silence and didn't dare to quit his job. Liam's job took up almost all of his time. Occasionally, he would message his friends to talk about his favorite robot models, which was one of the few ways he could relax. Liam always believed that as long as he kept working hard and stayed kind, everything would eventually get better. That belief shattered when he accidentally saw his wife acting intimately with another man. Liam tried to convince himself to stay calm and have faith, but he soon realized his wife had lied about her plans for the day and deliberately hid the existence of that man. Doubt began to grow in Liam's heart, and he started following his wife. What happened next completely shattered his expectations. His wife took their daughter to meet the man she was having an affair with, and to Liam's disbelief, the little girl called that man her father. Liam's state of mind collapsed as he realized he had never seen his daughter look so genuinely happy. Before Liam had time to figure out what was really going on, he received another devastating piece of news. His daughter was in a car accident and needed a blood transfusion. Only his wife's blood type was a match. Liam searched online for information about blood types and fell into despair. Based on genetics, it is impossible for him and his wife to have a child with that blood type. This meant Liam and the girl share no biological connection. Liam was furious, but when he confronted his wife, he was met with accusations instead. She blamed him for not spending enough time with the family. Liam felt deeply wronged. He had worked long overtime hours only to provide a better life for them. Yet his wife continued to criticize him, calling him a failure who had achieved nothing after years of work. She showed no guilt over her affair and pushed all the blame onto Liam. Even the daughter Liam had raised for so many years ended up preferring her biological father. All of this made Liam seem pathetic. Everything he had given and sacrificed in the past now felt like nothing more than a cruel joke. Liam's tragedy was far from over. He was accused of making a mistake at work by transferring company funds to a stranger's account. Liam did not remember ever doing such a thing, but the transfer records clearly showed that it was completed using his computer. That day, his boss scolded him for the last time. Soon after, he lost his job and was left with a massive compensation debt to the company. His wife also filed a lawsuit demanding alimony, with no other way to make a living. Liam had no choice but to work at a building site just to earn enough to get by. Though still alive, he felt more painful than falling into hell. Due to the massive blows to his mind and body, he could no longer hold on. In his final moments, Liam could not understand how his life had ended up like this. At that moment, a higher dimensional being who called itself God appeared and delivered an even more devastating blow to Liam. The man his ex-wife had an affair with turned out to be none other than his boss. The supposed mistake at work, the money transfer, had also been a trap set by that very boss, and the funds had already ended up in his pocket. Liam was consumed by overwhelming anger. God told him he could choose to be reincarnated into a different world and begin a new life. Liam chose an interstellar world where science and technology are incredibly developed. He loves robots, and in this new life, he would become a villain who lived only for himself. In the next moment, Liam reincarnates as the only son of a noble count's family. His life finally sees a glimmer of hope. On his birthday, his mother spends a large sum of money to customize a robot wife just for him. His father makes an even crazier decision. Although he is only in his 20s, he chooses to retire and hands over all of the family assets to Liam. The couple then decides to move to the capital, which means Liam becomes the true controller of the territory. Liam feels overjoyed and decides that he will become an evil lord, ruthlessly exploiting the people in his territory. He mistakenly believes that Guide is his savior, when in fact, this higher dimensional being is extremely dangerous. Guide delights in feeding on human negative emotions. He has filled Liam's new life with numerous challenges, each one more difficult to deal with than Liam's ex-wife and former boss. The interstellar world where Liam lives is extremely dangerous, filled with pirates who survive through plunder. These pirates possess overwhelming combat power and even dare to confront national military forces. A princess named Leto leads an elite robot army into a decisive battle against the pirate Goes. However, to her shock, Goes allies with other nations to launch a joint assault on Lita's planet. As a result, Lita suffers a crushing defeat. Her homeland is nearly destroyed, and even the princess herself is reduced to being Goes' slave. Liam remains completely unaware of these events. Right now, he is only focused on Amagi, the robot wife his mother purchased for him, due to the betrayal by his former wife. Liam holds a very poor opinion of human women. However, since Amagi is a robot, she does not fall into the category he despises. Just as Liam begins exploring Amagi's various functions, the butler Brian arrives with several pieces of bad news. Many years ago, humanity was nearly destroyed by AI robots. Fortunately, a group of brave individuals stood up and ultimately led humanity to victory. Those brave people have since become nobles of the Empire. Because of their past experiences, they hold a very negative view of robots. If Liam gets too close to Amagi, it might lead to serious trouble. Liam's mother gives him a robot for a different reason. Their family is burdened with an enormous debt, and his parents gave birth to Liam as a means to escape their responsibilities, leaving the debt for him to bear. Perhaps out of a final sense of guilt, they spent a large sum to purchase an advanced robot to take care of their son. Liam feels pain upon learning the truth, but he is no longer the coward he was in his previous life. In this life, he breaks free from the control of negative emotions. Liam chooses to team up with Amagi to develop his territory. Nothing can stand in the way of his rise to power, and he is determined to crush all his enemies beneath his feet. 2 years pass, and under Amagi's management, the situation in Liam's territory improves. However, due to the territory's terrible past conditions, they still need greater changes to truly escape hardship. Liam remains in good spirits. After all, he is only 7 years old. In this world, the average person can live for several centuries, so he still has plenty of time to build his power. In between his busy schedule, Liam tries piloting a robot in combat. The officer training with him deliberately loses in order to please the young lord, which greatly displeases Liam. Under Liam's command, the officer reveals his true strength, and Liam is quickly defeated. Rather than being discouraged by failure, Liam becomes more motivated. He begins recruiting the strongest swordsman, determined to first enhance his own combat ability. Soon, a man named Yasushi catches Liam's attention. Yasushi looks somewhat unkempt and worn out. Liam has a positive impression on him. In anime, characters like this disheveled man are often secretly powerful. They usually carry emotional scars or pursue higher ideals, which is why they pay little attention to their appearance. Yasushi does not disappoint Liam. He shows his strength by slicing through several wooden stakes at incredible speed. Even Amagi cannot clearly see Yasushi's movements. This makes Liam extremely happy. He has finally found a powerful master to guide him. At night, Guide silently observes Yasushi. In truth, Yasushi is a fraud who had secretly cut through the wooden stakes in advance. Another 10 years pass, just as Guide has anticipated. Under Yasushi's guidance, Liam is set to become an ordinary fighter with no real combat strength. Even Yasushi holds no expectations for Liam. He's fully aware that he is merely a mediocre swordsman, so it is impossible for him to raise a powerful disciple. But Yasushi underestimates Liam's determination. This 10-year-old boy not only trains every day but also constantly seeks Yasushi out late at night to ask for swordsmanship advice. This greatly annoys Yasushi, who usually spends his nights shedding the facade of a strong warrior, snacking, reading manga, and enjoying life. Liam does not spend all his time practicing swordsmanship. He still sets aside time to assist Amagi in managing the territory. His work experience from his previous life proves useful here. Liam is skilled at analyzing written reports and soon notices highly irregular financial activity within the territory. After conducting a thorough investigation, Liam uncovers the truth. One of the ministers has been embezzling territory funds and even murdered a subordinate to frame the deceased as the sole culprit. To Liam, all of this feels painfully familiar. In his previous life, he was just like the subordinate who was framed and killed. Liam has already decided to become a villain, so he does not want more villains in his own territory. For the first time, Liam attempts to kill someone. He plans to use the death of this minister to establish his authority. This is only the beginning. Liam's past experiences have taught him one thing: whether you are kind or evil, as long as you are weak, you will face injustice. Liam's desire to become stronger is increasing by the day. At that moment, something interesting happens. Yasushi realizes that Liam is improving so quickly that he no longer has anything to teach him, so Yasushi comes up with a stalling tactic. In this era, robot technology is highly advanced, and most people operate automatic robots. Yasushi deceives Liam by telling him that if he truly wants to become stronger, he must use a special type of robot with limited automatic functions. Yasushi believes that it will take Liam a long time to master the special robot, which would give him plenty of time to escape. However, the changes Liam undergoes next completely exceed Yasushi's expectations. Liam does not realize that even though he is already very cautious, a fraud still manages to get close to him. This person is Yasushi, who becomes Liam's master. Liam is deceived by Yasushi and begins practicing swordsmanship. He gives up the opportunity to pilot a state-of-the-art robot and intends to pilot an older model known as Abed, Liam's robot wife. Amagi does not trust Yasushi, but she respects all of Liam's decisions. Amagi entrusts the task of refurbishing the old robot to a scientist named Carlin from the Imperial Weapons Factory. This woman with glasses is extremely interested in top-tier robots. Fortunately, Liam firmly stops her before she can undress Amagi for research purposes. Soon, Carlin sees the robot that needs refurbishing, Abed. This model comes from the era of Liam's grandfather, and restoring it costs even more than purchasing a brand new unit. Liam doesn't mind at all. To fulfill his dream from his previous life, he even asks Carlin to equip Abed with all sorts of gear that only appears in anime. As Yasushi passes by, he is drawn to Carlin's beauty. Despite several attempts to strike up a conversation, Carlin completely ignores him. At this moment, she is in a heated argument with Liam, believing his refurbishment plan is childish and will lead to excessive costs. Liam has only one response: he has money. Yasushi notices how close Liam and Carlin seem, which makes him furious, so he comes up with a special training plan. His goal is to punish Liam, the person he believes ruins his love life. Yasushi unleashes all his anger during the training, never realizing that this haphazard plan truly shapes Liam into the strongest villain in the universe. At this moment, the most infamous villain in the universe is still Goz. He is a twisted individual who specializes in kidnapping young girls. Goz particularly likes Lita, his latest kidnapping victim. She is a princess who gives Goz a sense of satisfaction. Among Goz's subordinates is a scientist who conducts various experiments. Goz hands Lita over to the scientist, and Lita is bound in a humiliating position. When she gets a clear look at the modified humans around her, she screams in horror. Meanwhile, Liam still needs some time before his reputation can surpass that of Goz. Carlin has just finished upgrading Abed to a level where it can finally be activated. The cockpit is very cramped, so Carlin ends up teaching Liam piloting techniques in a rather intimate position. Liam shows great natural talent. After only a brief adjustment period, he is already able to control Abed's basic movements. Then, something unexpected happens. Liam becomes distracted by Carlin's figure while piloting. Influenced by his thoughts, Abed begins mimicking several intimate positions. Butler Brian is deeply relieved. He has long been worried that Liam only has feelings for his robot wife and might never produce an heir to continue the family line. Yasushi, on the other hand, is furious and demands to replace Liam as the pilot of Abed. Carlin also notices Abed's strange movements and becomes very shy. This makes Liam feel awkward. After all, inside his young body is the soul of an adult, and his hormones are far more active. As a result of this awkward incident, Yasushi becomes even more jealous and spiteful, increasing the intensity of Liam's training. While other children are playing, Liam endures daily pain and exhaustion from relentless drills. Unfortunately, even after all that effort, Liam still fails to replicate Yasushi's skill of slicing distant wooden stakes in a single strike. Amagi wants to warn Liam that she suspects Yasushi is a fraud. To avoid upsetting him, she hints at it very gently. Liam misunderstands Amagi's words and thinks there's something wrong with his training method instead. He regains his resolve, telling himself he refuses to be the same powerless victim he was in his previous life. Time passes quickly. The only thing in Liam's mind is to become strong. His dedication finally pays off. Yasushi is shocked when he sees Liam slice through a distant wooden stake. The training method he taught Liam was completely made up. Even Yasushi himself cannot perform such a feat. He cannot understand how a flawed method produces a correct result. Yasushi struggles to keep a calm expression, worried that Liam might notice his panic. Fortunately, something happens to divert Liam's attention. His territory comes under attack by space pirates. Amagi analyzes the current battlefield situation for Liam, wanting to test his combat ability. Liam decides to personally join the fight. His arrival completely shifts the tide of the battle. His robot is extremely outdated, making it unfamiliar to the pirates. In addition, the insights Liam unexpectedly gains through his training with Yasushi greatly enhance his piloting combat style. Interestingly, every time Liam attacks, he shouts out special move names that he invents himself. This behavior satisfies his fantasy of living in a robot anime. When using long-range slashes, he destroys multiple enemy robots in a single strike. Carlin also equips Abed with external missiles capable of causing wide-area damage. At this moment, Amagi informs Liam that the mission has failed. They manage to capture only a small number of pirates. Most escape, and the remaining ones are completely wiped out by Liam. News of the defeat reaches Goes, and he becomes furious. He orders his entire army to prepare for war, aiming to destroy Liam's territory. Before launching the attack, Goes makes one more decision, which is to execute all the pirates who fled from battle. Meanwhile, Amagi reports the results of the battle to Liam. According to Imperial law, all pirate warships and their cargo now legally belong to Liam, who acquires a large amount of precious metals in one sweep. He plans to use the gold and diamonds to craft a crown, only to be told that even rarer and more advanced metals exist in this world. Liam says he doesn't care. As someone from Earth, he holds a strong obsession with gold and diamonds. Amagi's next report brings a heavy atmosphere. They now possess 10,000 warships, but only 30% are operational. The recent victory happens only because the pirates are unaware of Abed's existence. It is Liam's piloting skills, combined with Carlin's newly installed external weapons, that turn the tide of battle. To save on maintenance costs, Amagi recommends scrapping 7,000 of the ships. Brian immediately objects. He believes the number of warships itself represents military strength and serves as a deterrent against pirates. However, as a pragmatist, Liam ultimately follows Amagi's advice. They decide to sell some materials from the pirate ships and use the funds to purchase more advanced warships. Carlin gains confidence from Liam, and just as she is ready to take on more challenges, an unexpected situation arises. The 3rd Weapons Factory where Carlin works now faces competition from the 7th Weapons Factory. Both have developed new warship models, and the Empire's generals must choose which will become the military's next mainstream warship. Carlin's design prioritizes practicality, with every feature serving combat effectiveness. Euligia, spokesperson for the 7th Weapons Factory, takes a completely different approach. Their new model focuses on pilot comfort, featuring luxurious interiors as the core design principle. The 2 Weapons Factory's warships present a stark contrast. One resembles a rugged tank or armored vehicle, while the other mimics a luxury car with plush interiors. Ironically, the Empire's generals ultimately choose the 7th Weapons Factory's posh warship. Carlin tries to argue with Euligia about whose design is superior, but she's better at research than arguing. Euligia ends up mocking Carlin's warships as unmarketable, dealing a blow to Carlin's pride. Returning home, Carlin starts brainstorming sales channels when she suddenly remembers Liam, the boy who shares her pragmatic worldview. Meanwhile, someone else thinks of Liam too. Guide. This creature feeds on human negativity. He deliberately reincarnated Liam into a debt-ridden noble family and even assigned him a fraud mentor. But what he sees next baffles Guide completely. Liam's territory becomes remarkably prosperous within just a few years. When Guide finds Yasushi for investigation, he finds Yasushi equally confused about Liam's growth. Guide also notices the civilians genuinely admire their new lord for defeating the pirates. Spying on Liam, Guide sees him practicing long-distance log cutting. Interestingly, Liam feels grateful toward him. Since Guide fears positive emotions most, he immediately feeds on Yasushi's negativity to recover. Soon, Guide devises a plan to sabotage Liam. The Empire Army plans to sell their decommissioned warships to Liam, requiring him to accept both reserve and soon-to-retire soldiers. Guide schemes to plant troublemakers among them. Meanwhile, Carlin visits Yasushi with a goal to pitch her warship at Liam. Hoping to succeed, she tries learning Liam's preferences from Yasushi, but Carlin phrases it poorly. Yasushi mistakenly believes she's asking about his preference and starts detailing his ideal woman type. The description matches Carlin perfectly. Flushed with confidence, she now believes seducing Liam will guarantee success. She shows up at Liam's place wearing revealing clothes, but gets shot down the moment she starts pitching her warships. Learning Liam already bought the Empire's warships, she switches to Plan B, attempting to seduce him. Unfortunately, her moves are painfully awkward. Instead of sparking interest, Carlin only reminds Liam of his ex-wife from his past life. That woman grew cold after buying sexy lingerie, making Liam suspect she was already cheating at that moment. Carlin is confident in her charms. Liam can't bring himself to crush her spirit, so he agrees to buy 300 ships. Thrilled, Carlin video calls her coworkers to brag about her successful seduction. But Brian and Yasushi overhear everything. Yasushi's hatred for Liam grows even deeper. Yasushi assumes that Liam pressured Carlin into the deal using the purchase contracts. This fills Yasushi with both fury and jealousy. In his eyes, Liam has become a deadly rival that must be destroyed. Guide lurks nearby, eagerly awaiting Liam's misfortune just like Yasushi. Fortunately, Liam's protagonist luck shields him. His life continues improving so far. Amagi brings good news that the Empire warships have arrived. To celebrate his territory's boosted military power, Liam plays a harmless little joke. Soon, 300 warships appear near Liam's lands. When delivering the ships, Carlin requests a few pirate vessels for research purposes. Amagi proposes a better plan where Liam temporarily loans all the pirate ships to Carlin. She can keep a few to study but must upgrade and return the majority. Carlin agrees without hesitation, as she knows the pirate ships utilize foreign technologies. To Carlin, research opportunities far outweigh handsome men or fancy clothes in importance. While inspecting the pirate ships together, Liam and Amagi accidentally discover the navigation maps. These records show all the pirates' past flight paths. They've been consistently active in the war zones between the Empire and neighboring countries. These chaotic areas effectively help them evade military pursuit. Liam also locates what appears to be a pirate treasure stash, and he immediately sets out for Roger's treasure. What follows is the anime's most thrilling scene. Liam prepares for warping via the wormhole, but using it requires payment. As he has just purchased warships, his finances are tight. He proposes paying after using the wormhole and confiscating pirate assets. The wormhole operator rejects Liam's request, but Liam doesn't give up. By chance, he finds his way to the control area and secretly activates the warping. 30 minutes later, Liam's fleet arrives near Go's base. Strangely, while there are 20,000 pirate ships here, only a handful have actual pilots. This unexpected situation turns Liam's numerical disadvantage into an overwhelming advantage. Once again piloting Abed, Liam begins insanely eliminating the pirates. The battle proves completely one-sided, with Liam emerging victorious. All the resources the pirates accumulated over years become Liam's spoils of war. But where did Go's and his main fleet disappear to? Let's rewind 1 hour earlier. After executing a group of deserting pirates at the base, Go's led his main force to the wormhole for warping. Ironically, while the operators strictly enforced regulations to deny Liam's entry, they didn't attack wanted criminal Go's or even alert the military as ruled. The reason? These operators have been taking pirate bribes for years, granting bandits priority wormhole access. Go's original plan was to attack Liam's territory, but due to Liam's accidental operation during the warping, Go's fleet gets redirected to the Empire's military exercise zone, where 70,000 warships are gathered. A few years ago, Princess Lita's kingdom was attacked by the pirate Go's. Go's kidnapped Lita, forcing her to watch her entire planet be destroyed, but that was just the beginning of her nightmare. Go's then made Lita watch as other captives were transformed into monsters. Go's was a total scumbag who loved to torture his prisoners. Lita couldn't escape this tragic fate either. Her cries and pleas didn't get her any mercy from Go's. Instead, Go's ordered his subordinate scientists to begin experimenting on the princess. Fast forward to the present. Liam stormed Go's stronghold and killed the scientists. Even knowing it would cost a fortune, Liam ordered all the captives to be saved. Liam also got his hands on Go's wealth, which significantly improved his financial situation. When Euligia heard about Liam getting the pirate's treasure, she immediately came to visit. Euligia tried to seduce Liam to sell him a battleship. Because Liam had received Euligia's help before, he eventually agreed to buy the battleship. As Euligia left, her revealing clothes led Yasushi to misunderstand, thinking Liam had stolen his crush. Yasushi was furious, and to vent his anger, he put Liam through an intense training session. Unexpectedly, Liam leveled up during the training, unlocking even stronger skills. Yasushi thought Liam was an absolute monster and, using the excuse that Liam had surpassed him, he quickly ended their mentorship and fled. In his past life, Liam was kind but was killed by others. His biggest dream in this life was to become a villain. Having power, money, and a harem is the standard for a villain. Liam felt his power was temporarily sufficient after Yasushi's words. Financially, he was now frequently renting battleships to merchants, earning a lot of gold. Finally, the harem. Liam fantasized every day about having lots of gold and beautiful women. To accommodate enough wives, Liam ordered the construction of a massive 1,000 square meter room. He was worried Amagi and Brian would object, but to his surprise, they were incredibly supportive. Liam only wanted to marry 100 wives, which for an Earthling's perspective, was already incredibly happy. Amagi and Brian, however, thought Liam should have at least 1,000 wives. For that, they even prepared 10,000 beauties for him to choose from. This result greatly bothered Liam. If he wanted to spend time with 1,000 wives in a year. Liam would have to deal with 3 wives daily. Liam was worried his body wouldn't be able to handle it, but Brian insisted that this was the only way Liam would have enough descendants to grow his family. Liam finally agreed to establish a harem, but to become a villain, he wanted to flirt with strangers. If a stranger refused, Liam would then forcibly take her back to his harem. The subsequent events completely crushed Liam. He discovered that the women's aesthetics in his territory were terrible. Whether it was accessories or clothing, nothing was appealing. Liam even wanted to recruit models for a beauty pageant to improve people's aesthetics. Amagi reminded Liam that the territory's finances hadn't been fully cleared yet, and they didn't have extra funds to hold a competition. Liam had to give up on this plan and started to fret about where to steal beauties from. Meanwhile, Lita had awakened after a long recovery, crying because she was normal again. Upon learning that Liam had spent a huge amount of money to save all the captives, she swore to repay his kindness with her life. The guide was furious. He specifically arranged for soldiers to join Liam's army, hoping they would rebel against Liam's villainous behavior. But unexpectedly, Liam attacked pirates and rescued captives. His unexpected actions earned him the soldiers' loyalty. Yasushi was just as distraught as the guide. He hid on a spaceship full of beauties to enjoy himself, thinking he had finally gotten rid of Liam. Just then, the TV began broadcasting news of Liam's victory over the pirates, and it even mentioned Yasushi was Liam's master. The guide realized Yasushi was useless and couldn't harm Liam for now. So, he found Goze. This pirate sacrificed some battleships as bait. Escaping the encirclement with his main fleet, the guide used hypnosis to make Goze decide to seek revenge on Liam. Liam didn't know danger was approaching. He was living a villainous life every day, because the women's aesthetics in his territory were so bad, and Liam had a poor impression of human women due to his ex-wife's betrayal. He bought a large number of maid robots to take care of him. Amagi was worried that if Liam continued to distance himself from human women, he might not have descendants in the future. Therefore, Amagi always urged Liam to establish a harem soon. Liam felt a bit frustrated by this. He thought Amagi was the perfect wife. As for having descendants, Liam didn't really care. Liam's friendly attitude toward robots made Amagi very uneasy. Humans had experienced a robot rebellion and were very resistant to artificial intelligence technology. Amagi didn't want to see Liam being hunted by all humanity one day, so she tried to keep her distance from Liam. While Amagi was still agonizing over what to do, an accident happened. Goze's fleet surrounded Liam's territory to maximize his revenge. He didn't attack immediately. Goze did this to make Liam suffer and fear first. The pirate fleet numbered around 30,000 battleships, while Liam's fleet had 5,000. According to AI calculations, Liam's chance of winning was only 4%. Just then, the guide suddenly appeared beside Liam. He used time stop, freezing everyone else. The guide was incredibly hypocritical, falsely claiming he felt guilty about reincarnating Liam into a heavily indebted family. Therefore, he specifically arranged for the pirates to attack Liam, stating that defeating them would bring great wealth. The guide hoped Liam would develop intense hatred after his defeat, so he could harvest negative energy. The guide would never have imagined that a new unexpected event was about to occur soon. This war was unfavorable to Liam from the start. Goze not only had more battleships, but he was also rich in combat experience and extremely cruel. He sent a large number of captives to pilot battleships in a suicidal charge, using their lives to break Liam's battleship formation. Liam's subordinate officers tried to adopt similar suicide charges. This proposal was rejected by Liam. Officers, soldiers, and battleships were all considered his property, and he wouldn't allow any damage to his assets. So Liam piloted Abed and personally went into battle. He wanted to fight on the front lines to protect his fleet. Liam had spent a fortune modifying Abed previously, and now the investment was paying off. The top-tier mecha, combined with Liam's swordsmanship, made his single combat ability extremely powerful. He could break through the enemy's front lines alone. However, this alone wasn't enough to win. Amagi commanded the fleet to launch a full-scale assault. Influenced by Liam, none of the officers or soldiers chose to flee. This war began to change in an incredible way. Liam's mecha seemed to have an endless supply of weapons, and every attack eliminated an enemy. Especially his swordsmanship, accidentally trained by Yasushi, amplified its power through the mecha, causing panic among the enemies. As the battle dragged on, Liam's mecha began to take damage. Just at this crucial moment, Lita arrived with reinforcements. Euligia had lent Lita many battleships and mechas. She did this to show goodwill to Liam, making it easier to compete with Carlin for battleship orders in the future. With the reinforcements joining the fight, Liam finally turned the tide from a disadvantage to an advantage. On one hand, Lita had a fierce hatred for the pirates, so her attacks were incredibly aggressive. On the other hand, the battle had gone on long enough, and Goze had to be wary of the Imperial army arriving to encircle them, causing the pirates' morale to sink lower and lower. Liam embarked on a relentless slaughter. These pirates had committed numerous murders, so killing them brought no guilt. Lita was responsible for protecting Liam's back. Whenever a pirate attempted to ambush Liam, Lita, like an executioner, would cut them down. This woman had once prayed to the gods for salvation but received no answer. Now, Liam was Lita's god. Amagi also gave the order for a full-scale assault. Even with fewer warships, they exuded a terrifying momentum. There was no suspense left in this battle. Goes watched as the pirates' defenses were breached, and his own psychological defenses crumbled. This scoundrel tried to abandon everyone else and escape alone. Liam was faster, already leading a group of soldiers to board Go's warship. Many pirates attempted to surrender. They never imagined that many people they had captured also surrendered, but still met a tragic end. Liam had no mercy for these scoundrels. After another round of slaughter, he began to collect the treasures on the warship. Liam saw a sword and felt that this weapon was made for him. The man and the sword were a perfect match. At this moment, the guy began to cause trouble again. He used supernatural powers to transform Go's, successfully turning the pirate into a war machine. Ordinary bullets could no longer penetrate Go's skin, and he regained the initiative. At the critical moment, Liam joined the battle with his newly acquired weapon. His sword severed Go's arm. Unexpectedly, Go's severed arm grew tentacles, but this level of power-up was meaningless. He was finished by Liam with a single sword stroke. After that victory, Liam's military power grew, and business proposals from merchants started pouring in. On top of that, he was becoming a real hit with the ladies. Lita was so grateful to Liam that she was ready to lay down her life to protect him. Meanwhile, Carlin and Euligia were both after contracts for new warships, each girl doing her best to get on Liam's good side. Just then, Liam received an invitation from the Imperial High Command. His fame had skyrocketed after crushing Go's, but right when things were looking up, disaster struck. Liam's relatives, a bunch of complete scumbags, were back. These were the same people who had saddled a child with a mountain of debt, and now they had the nerve to come back, hoping to squeeze even more money out of him. Worst of all, they absolutely despised androids and demanded that Liam get rid of Amagi. Liam had always considered Amagi family. Furious, he threw his relatives out. That's when the guide suddenly appeared. He manipulated Liam's relatives, convincing them to bribe officials and forge documents to snatch the family territory right out from under him. At the same time, guided by a mysterious force, Amagi stumbled upon their conspiracy. So, Amagi struck a deal with the Imperial Chancellor. She used the bounty from defeating Go's to pay off the territory's overdue taxes, and on top of that, she ramped up the procurement of warships from the Empire's own military factories. This essentially funneled the bulk of Liam's fortune directly into the Imperial Treasury, but it was enough to persuade the Chancellor to step in and shut down the relative scheme. Amagi could feel the Chancellor's disdain for her. Ever since the Android Rebellion years ago, humanity's hostility towards androids had never faded. Not wanting to tarnish Liam's reputation, Amagi offered to leave, but Liam threatened her. If she dared to go, he'd just drink himself into a useless stupor every day and wouldn't even lift a finger to fight back if his enemies came for revenge. In that moment, Amagi broke through her android limitations and shed real tears. She decided then and there to devote her entire life to serving Liam. Alright, congratulations on finishing another anime recap here on my channel. Feel free to rate the series in the comments below. And if you're looking for more, my channel has plenty of other full recaps of classic anime to help you kill some time.